Hey guys, so I wanted to jump on here real quick and make this review of the Holes Literature Unit Study from Moving Beyond the Page that is designed for ages 8 to 10. But before I got into the specifics of Holes, I wanted to share about how I really like the integrated nature of the rocks and minerals in Holes unit. These two are meant to go hand in hand. This is the overview of the 8 to 10 year. And as you can see, concept 3 is similarities and differences. And I had purchased this whole unit. I have a separate video for that. Hopefully I'll be able to add on here if you want to see the other materials. But we have the rocks and minerals unit is the science or social studies. It's obviously science, and holes is the language arts unit. And I wanted to show you, we haven't done this whole thing because I always have a hard time figuring out how to complete work that meets the charter's needs when we're in a charter, which is one of the reasons why I'm always in and out of a charter, negotiating that. But so for the first assignment that comes in this material is you use this book, which is by National Geographic Kids, and you have reading comprehension questions, and then you also have lab assignments, or I don't know what it would be called. So if you look at, this is what I'm going to show you in a second. These are the lessons that are in the unit, which is Mineral Madness. That's the one I'm going to show you. Rocks Rock, Fun with Rocks, Crystals, Volcanoes and Earthquakes, Fun with Fossils, and Paleontologist Raft. So we're truly just starting out with this. And this is the overview. I'm pretty sure this is on the website, and it's kind of similar to what I just showed you. And then this is the summary of the skills from this unit. And so it works really well with the Holes unit because that book, which I'll talk about in a second, is set in the desert. And so it's really, interesting how the things interplay. So the first lab that you have, which is from the rocks and minerals, is to look at the nutrition facts on some food products. And we actually did this incorrectly. What we did is we looked at one food product, I think it was cereal, and we wrote down the percentage of your daily value. And so then we graphed how much of the different minerals were in that. So here we have, I think it's iron, and so we have calcium, sodium, zinc, phosphorus, magnesium, iron, potassium, sulfur, and I think I can't read what that one is. But anyway, so that's how we use this. And these are separate activities. So this is from the first activity unit, whatever you want to call it, subunit, and then activity number 2. And these are there's different options. That's how Moving Beyond the Page works, is you have different options for each activity. So that was one activity based on learning about minerals. Then the next one is a lab. And so this is from the lab kit. And again, I unboxed this whole thing. So if you want to see what I'm talking about, it's from the whole concept 3. So you get these mystery minerals. There's, I think, 5 of them, and they're labeled with the lowercase letter. And you do a series of different tests. So the first tests you do, unfortunately, I got my papers mixed up. The first one that you do is a streak test. So you take this plate and you scratch it across there and you see what the streak is. The next one that you do is you take this nail that comes in the kit and you scrape it across the rock to see if it's hard. And then the next 2 tests you do is a magnet test. You take the rock and you say, out of the plastic, this one is magnetic. This one is not magnetic. So you get the point. And then the last test is you put it into a vat of So you test those things, and then you check off the boxes. And then after you do those 2 worksheets, one of them's missing, you go through and you identify the minerals based on these questions. So each one of these little worksheets comes inside of this guide, and you have all the instructions for how to do it. And then, like I was saying, this is a reading comprehension worksheet that goes with the book. So those are 2 different skills you can be working on. And like here you can see this is the worksheet. So I really just like this unit as it works with holes and also independently. I feel like it's also a really easy to use hands-on lab. I have a hard time doing labs because we just have a lot going on. So the easier the better. And I feel like this is a really like good science, lots sciencey science that's easy to implement. And I did this with my first grader and fourth grader together, these different lab components. So that was good. So now turning to the purpose of this video, the holes unit. I am only going to talk positively about this unit. I don't have anything negative to say. So if you're looking for critiques, you're not going to be getting them. I'm saying that because I feel like this is a biased review. This is not like a balanced review. I do try to give balanced reviews, but I just don't really have anything negative to say. So what I like about this overall is the book Holes, I feel, is a very good, approachable, contemporary book for boys in particular. The setting of the book, if you are not familiar, is a juvenile delinquent camp. It's like a diversion program. So instead of boys going to jail, they go to this camp that is in the middle of the desert, and their punishment is to dig holes every day, 5 feet deep, 5 feet wide. It has a lot of different characters, which are, relatable to the reader. It's a very substantial book. I would not expect my fourth grader to be able to read this himself. So we did it as a read aloud with my first and fourth grader. And it took us a while. There are two components before I get to that, actually, I wanted to add that this is a really good modern book study. So if you're doing a lot of classics, you're doing a lot of 100-year-old books that we like to do, and you want something that's modern and includes like modern slang and colloquialisms and things like that, this is, I think, a good choice. The other thing I wanted to say about the book itself is that the way that it's written, it kind of reminds me of Grapes of Wrath in that every other chapter is a different story. So two alternating stories interwoven together, not boring like Grapes of Wrath, just that type of alternating chapter type. So in this unit, by moving beyond the page, this is unrelated, ignore that. There's two different types of assignments. So the first type of writing assignment is reading comprehension, and it has questions based on each chapter for your student to answer. And sometimes my student would write the answers himself, and sometimes he would narrate it to me and I would write it. You can also do it with younger students, asking them the questions orally. And then the second type of assignment is a hands-on activity or a worksheet, but what did I want to say? Like, not a traditional type of worksheet, like a critical thinking type of a worksheet, or something that is teaching a specific language arts skill. So if you look at my comparison video where I look at comparing Moving Beyond the Page to a Memoria Press literature unit, I mentioned in that video, this is a comprehensive language arts curriculum. It includes all of the different components of language arts. It's not only literature study. So just because it happens to be a particular book, don't let that fool you. It is a whole very meaty curriculum. So I'm going to share with you some of the student work, and then we'll go through this a little bit more. So this is an example of the reading comprehension questions, and like I mentioned in my other video, the questions aren't necessarily like, what color was so-and-so's hat on page 8? It does ask questions that involve higher level critical thinking. So for example, how does the author describe Camp Green Lake? So unless your student's going to be writing an 8-sentence copywork quotation, they have to think about what the author had said. So we did these. This is the first thing that we did when we did this unit, was these reading comprehension questions, because I was trying to work on reading comprehension with my student as a separate skill. And so that's what we first focused on. We also needed these for work samples for the charter. So, but then there are many different examples of activities that involve social studies and science, even separate from the rock and minerals unit. So for example, describe the yellow spotted lizard. This is one of the critters that's in the book throughout the story. And so in addition to doing this activity, which involves reading comprehension and recollection and, some animal study, when we were researching it, my son was like, is that a real thing? So then you look up, what is this a real thing? So it's not a real thing, but it is based on a real animal, and you can learn about the animal it's based on that the author used as inspiration. So there's a lot of like rabbit trail type stuff like that aside from the actual assignments. Another thing that I liked was there were some activities that were related to the justice system, because this is a book about a juvenile prison, or not prison, but diversion program. So actually the one critique I do have is this worksheet was kind of hard to figure out even as a licensed attorney, just because, you know, what's the difference between a conviction and a sentence? Well, I can tell you that a conviction means when someone's convicted of a crime, and a sentence is their punishment. But the way that these were written was just a little bit confusing. So my point is only like, make sure you have the parent guide, this one, because I found this a lot easier to navigate than the online system. But I really liked that my son was having to do this and think about these things. And then this is an example of a editing assignment where you're teaching capitalization and those things. Then you have prefixes and suffixes, adverbs. So we had gone back and done these afterwards, but you can imagine how great it would have been to do those contemporaneously with the reading comprehension. I just really like this unit a lot. And I've been looking for other ones that are similar. We have started doing what is it called? The Whipping Boy, and that is also a literature unit, but that one kind of goes more into history type, not necessarily history, but it's just different. It's based in medieval times. It's not a modern book. So I really wish that I could find another one like this. And they do have other options, but I just haven't looked at them. I just fell in love with this unit, so that's why I wanted to share about it. Oh, and I think I was talking about, I had wanted to mention, someone asked on Facebook, actually this gets asked often in the Moving Beyond the Page forum, like how much time do these things really take? So here it says the reading and questions, which is these comprehension questions, 30 minutes of reading and writing. That's definitely true. These chapters, where's the book? These chapters are long and complicated, and it takes time. And I would definitely say that you could easily spend 30 minutes reading this and answering the comprehension questions. 60 minutes for the language arts lesson, including vocabulary and spelling. I don't think it would take that long, but you know, you could, if you want to go deeper, you could definitely spend that time. Science, definitely, if you're doing the entire lesson, it could take that long. I'm not able to spend that much time per lesson. So what I do is I break it down. So like when we did this rock lab, it was over several sessions of like 15 minutes in length so that I could have my kids' full attention when we were doing it. And then math instruction, physical activity, or, you know, separate issue. And then this is like the unit review. This book does talk about discrimination in a rather vivid depiction that's not necessarily age appropriate, but, you know, if you're reading a book about racial discrimination, that's going to be an awkward topic no matter how you bring it up. And this book gives a very vivid example of that. It kind of reminds me of Stella by Starlight. There was a very vivid description in that, and I just don't want to give a spoiler alert. So if you want to know what I'm talking about, I would look up spoiler alerts on this book, what I'm talking about. We also had watched the movie for this, and so it's just good to know what's going on. Anyway, so I thought that was interesting. There's also a lot of Black characters in this book, and it talks about, it touches on that a little bit, not a lot, but it's just kind of an interesting dynamic the characters have. And you could get all into, you know, the criminal justice system and things like that. Another thing I wanted to mention, so when I first had started Moving Beyond the Page many years ago, probably 10 years ago, or 9 years ago actually, there was an assignment, a first assignment in one of the units which said, go research something. And I was like, why isn't that included, right? One thing that I feel that they have improved on is there's now links for these things. So when they are telling you, go research desert plants and adaptations, they have links. And these links are within their logged in interface. And they check these links to make sure they're not broken, and you don't have to vet them. They've already vetted them for you. And so they give you a worksheet that says, go research this. They provide the tools for you. So I feel like that is definitely an improvement, and I want to give them a kudos for that. I really appreciate it. So that all I have to do is open up this lesson and look, all of this stuff is already there. So kudos to Moving Beyond the Page for that. And then here's like the example of that worksheet. So I feel like this unit really has a lot of science in it I just really like that. Oh, and then I was talking about in my other video how there's like a cooking project in here, which I forgot to mention, which is based on the book. So I thought that was lovely. We haven't had a chance to do it yet, but I feel like you could just spend all of your time only doing this lesson for a month or whatever, several weeks, and you would get so much out of it. And that's really one of the things that I wanted to convey with this video is it's just such a meaty lesson. And I'm kind of sad that it's over, honestly. This is the first time that I read Holes, and I wish it wasn't over yet. So this is the last thing I wanted to circle back on, which is, well, this is the 8 to 10 overview. I wanted to show you the summary of skills that's covered. So one of my friends that's in a charter said when she has to turn in like a learning plan or stuff like that, she'll copy, this is also available in their online interface. She'll copy these, like cut and paste, and then paste them into the learning plan. And so I just wanted to circle back and reiterate that if you are in a charter school or some sort of oversight program where you have to tell them what you're covering, Moving Beyond the Page really does a good job of giving you those specific skills. This is also helpful if you want to do a scope and sequence log for your records. And I have done a video showing how I do that before, where I basically take the scope and sequence of all of the curriculum that we're doing, and I store that in a binder in case we ever need that for some reason. So far, we haven't needed it. And sometimes I just feel like, oh, that's an interesting thing to have to review what my students are going to cover or what I want them to cover. So that's another aspect of this curriculum that I really like and find very helpful. And I think that's it. I have tried recording this like 5 times and had my phone crash. So there may be some things that I forgot, and I may come back and add those in the description. But I just wanted to at least try and film this for you guys, let you know what I liked about this unit. The last thing that I just remembered is, like, I think the last assignment in here is that you can go watch the film, and I didn't even know that was an assignment. We just went ahead and did it because why not? Film adaptation of a book. But I think it is a really sweet way for them to have concluded the unit. So that's all I have to say about this Moving Beyond the Page curriculum and what we liked about it. And I think both of my kids really liked it. They would be asking if we're going to read it today and things like that until we finished it. And yeah, if you're looking for a modern contemporary novel that covers these different issues, or you're just looking for something different, I would definitely recommend giving this unit study a try, and even go for the lab. I mean, if you do it, just let me know. Like, I loved the experiments. They were so easy, you're so right, and I'll be like, you're welcome. Thanks for watching.